Ew. And wants to kill a character. Why? Is this about that Inversio thing? Holy shit. Yes, and I figured for this stream I'd just go and have a look at some of the more unusual sites in the galaxy, and this one that I'm approaching at the moment is one of them in particular. Mitterrand Hollow, which is a moon in orbit around a planet in the Epsilon Indi system. And I don't know if you're actually seeing this, but look at how fucking fast that moon is moving. Look at the speed of that rotational period. So, actually, let me pull up the system map for a second. Just to, in fact, I think it's the system map I want to look at. Yeah, here we go. So if you look at the planetary data on this thing, you'll notice that it actually says that the orbital period is 0 days. That's not actually strictly true, because the thing about Elite Dangerous is that when it's actually calculating when it calculates the orbital period of a planet, the lowest possible point, decimal point it can go to is 0.10. So 0.10 of a rotational period of a single, 0.10 days in a rotational period. So that moon, Mitterrand Hollow, actually has a rotational period of 0.06. So it's actually moving, because you can actually land on that. It's actually possible to land on that moon, which is what I'm going to attempt to do here. Now, there are two ways you can do it. There's a wrong way and a right way. The wrong way is to basically, try to chase it. So, I'm going to do something else. I'm basically going to run face first into it. At least that's the plan, anyway. Because I've got to be really fucking careful doing this. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Shit. Okay. Gonna have to wait for it to come back around. There it is there. I just need to follow the direction that it's going. There we go.
Orbital flight engaged.
Oh. One moment.
Hull integrity compromised.
Hang on, I'll be back. Alright, sorry about that. Had to do something. Alright, what I'm gonna do, because I've come a little bit too high, to actually get this to work. There we go. 3, 2, 1, engage. So, I am going to... I mean, you can see just how quickly this thing is moving around. Let's see, how far down? Okay, I'm about 50 kilometers up, 50 kilometers from the surface, so... I want to find a suitable position to land so we can observe what I want to see. Because this planet, or this moon rather, it's not actually a planet, it's a moon, but this moon actually has a full eclipse, like solar like eclipse, every minute. Oh, in fact we just had it right there. And there we go. Holy shit. Get the booster. Yeah, about 16 kilometers up. There's the planet. Look at that. Look at how fast that's moving. And this is all in real time. This is all happening in real time. Look at how fast that planet is actually moving past us. Jesus Christ. Look at that. That is spectacular.
Did you pick your class? Did you pick your own when you set to end the breakfast?
Yeah.
No, you didn't, because it's squash leaf and everything there. You're a bit loud, that's all. It's fine, I'll get my badge.
Somewhere to set this down. Ah, sweet, I actually remember the right key press, rather, right control combination this time.
Landing gear deployed.
Okay. Let's see. Need to. Actually, this might be all right. Let's turn it a little. All right, we're down. Ooh, I think we just hit. Yep, that was the eclipse. And there's the planet going past us now. So, funny story about this. This was actually included. This actually ended up being in the game originally as a bug. This was originally a bug. Like, this was not intended to be the actual rotational speed of this moon. This initially was put in as a bug, and then eventually they patched it out. Frontier Developments, the people who make this game, they patched it out. And they then put this back in. Because the people actually complained. Like, the players, the community actually complained. So they put this back in as sort of a show of good faith. And wait for it. There it is. There's the eclipse. How amazing is that? That is just spectacular. Like, that is truly something special. And I love the fact that, like, it was initially a bug in the game, but Frontier Developments decided, and then Frontier Developments patched it out, and then the people complained, and they're like, alright, we'll put it back in. Because this is, at least to my knowledge, the only system in the galaxy, at least the known systems in the galaxy that have actually been seen by human eyes, this is the only system in the galaxy with a moon that has an orbital period this freaking quick. And I mean, to be fair, I could see why it would be a bug, because I mean, and a moon having a rotational period this quick? Don't forget, this moon orbits the planet every couple minutes. And it has an eclipse every minute. And look, we're about to have another one. There. Now, considering the effect that the moon would have on the tide, because that's an Earth-like world that this moon is orbiting, but considering the effect that that would have on the tidal flow, the rotational period of this moon would basically create would just be dragging a massive tidal wave across the entire planet's surface. So I could kind of see why this was not intended to be part of the actual thing. I can see why this was absolutely a bug. That's not the only thing that I want to show, because there is one system in particular with something that is quite interesting. It's going to take a little bit to get there, but I mean, this ship can do 60 light years in a jump, so it's not going to take insanely long. Not as long as it would in some of my other ships.
Frame shift
So of course the first thing we'll have to do is we have to escape the moon's gravity well. And then we've got to find, there it is. We're still actually caught in the gravity well of Meteoran Hollow. So it's going to take us a bit to actually... Oh, I think we're about to start... I think we're starting to break it. Come on. Come on. There we go. Because our frame of reference with the frameshift drive was actually locked on Meteoran Hollow, so that's why, even though we were flying away from it in Super Cruise, it was still taking a bit for us to actually
Frameshift drive charging.
To actually escape from, to actually be able to line up with with our next jump point, because basically because we had to actually escape the Meteoran Hollow's gravity well. And we could only do that by actually accelerating away from it.
Fuel scooping.
Okay, so we're going to scoop some fuel from the star.
Fuel scoop disengaged. Frameshift drive charging.
There's a few interesting systems actually that you can visit in this game. I probably won't be able to show all of them today because one of them in particular is quite some distance away from where we currently are, and also where we're currently going. So it's not that we can't go there, but it would take a very, very long time, and I'm not expecting this to be a long stream anyway. I just more wanted to show off a couple of interesting sites.
4, 3, 2, 1.
But where we're going now is about 500 light years. Yeah, pretty much. And where we're actually going is about 500 odd light years away from the Sol system. Nah, I can't actually be bothered stopping to actually look at those. I can do that later. Actually, while it is jumping to the next system, I will be back in a second.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Sorry about that. Ah, no worries, Grace. Ah, crap, that's a T-Tory. I can't escape from that.
Frameshift drive charging.
Okay, just checking something.
2, 1, hull integrity
Oh, crap.
compromised. Warning, temperature critical. Heat sink deployed.
Can I actually... I've never done this before. Okay, so that increased the jump range by 50% apparently. So... Okay, how far... .27, eh? Nope, too far. No, still too far. Crap, I need a star. And also I need a star that I can actually scoop from. That'll do.
Frameshift drive charging.
Is anybody still here?
Fuel scooping. System scan complete.
Okay, I'm gonna stop here for a little bit to scoop some fuel.
disengaged. Frameshift drive charging.
3 more jumps and then we'll have arrived at our destination. I'll do that myself.
System scan complete.
Alright. Is this a star I can scoop from or no? Nope. Nope, that is a T-Tory. Get away, get away, get away.
Frameshift drive charging. Fuel scooping. Fuel scooping complete.
Oh, Jesus. You realize in the minute you just said then that I don't want to know, I now want to know, right?
System scan complete. Frameshift drive charging.
Oh, okay. Alright, we're jumping to our destination. So we'll be able to see something quite spectacular very, very soon. That is Betelgeuse. This is the largest star that is visible to the naked eye from Earth. Actually, wrong thing. System map, I believe, is the one I want. Yes, here we go. So, it doesn't look like anything special until you come to its size. So it's about a quarter of the... That's a mood. But this Betelgeuse itself is actually a quarter of the mass of the Sun. It's the quarter of the mass, but it is 600 times the mass of our Sun. Or the size, rather. It's 600 times the radius of our Sun. If this was put in the center of our galaxy, that planet there, that would be Jupiter. Everything else would be before Jupiter would be inside the star. We are actually currently holding steady at a distance of over 2,700 light seconds away. So let us actually... Is there a... Oh yep, we can land on this planet here. We can actually land on Betelgeuse too. And as we actually head towards this planet, you'll see something quite amusing actually happen.
Fuel scooping.
That's right, we are currently fuel scooping from a star that is over 2,700 light seconds away. Look at that thing. That is just... wow. That is just insane. I think we're about to... Yep, We're about to slingshot past the planet. Yep. Shit. Hang on. It's alright. I'm gonna bring it back around. I'm doing alright. Okay. I want to get into a position where we can actually land on the surface of that planet and still be able to actually see the star. So, I need to be very fucking careful about this. Oh, there's actually a couple of solar flares firing off on the star itself. I'm just being real freaking careful about this. I want to try and get it into a spot where we can get a really good view of the star itself.
Orbital flight engaged.
Okay, this looks like it should be good. I actually don't know if we had a good Armistice Day, to be honest. Yesterday, well, Armistice Day was yesterday for me, but I don't actually know because I was actually out of the doctor's at the I was at the doctor's appointment at about 11 o'clock, so I didn't actually see anything about it, but I assume it was alright. You know, it seemed to be alright. I think for a lot of people it kind of just it was just another day, sort of thing. Okay, let's disengage glide. I'm going to come down and I'm going to land on... What the hell was that? Okay, that was weird. Oh wait, can I actually... Oh, no I can't. Logic can only use inhibitors. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's engage the landing gear.
Landing gear deployed.
Yeah, no, here we call it Armistice Day. Oh god, careful, 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 careful. There we go. Right, let's get onto the external camera and look at that view. Don't forget, we're over 2,500 light seconds away from Betelgeuse itself, and yet look at how big it is on the horizon. Holy shit. My ship just looks so tiny by comparison. I'm gonna quickly screenshot that. But yeah, no, my ship just looks so freaking small by comparison. I like the fact you can actually see the solar flares firing off on the surface. Like, that is cool. Like, just this is an amazing view. I know some people might not be interested in this kind of thing, but this interests the hell out of me. I mean, that is just a spectacular sight. I mean, that's not the only amazing sight. In fact, let's actually... I want to see something, actually. How far away am I from a particular system? There it is. 288 light years away. Okay, how many jumps would that take? What? Okay.
Landing gear retracted.
I've got one more sight to show you guys, and then I think I'll probably end the stream after this. But
Frameshift drive charging.
there is a system about 288 light years from here, known as the Maya system, which is actually a system that contains a black hole in it. No, seriously. The system actually has a black hole in it. Now, thankfully, in my Diamondback Explorer, it's not going to take us too long to actually get there. You know, 5 jumps, so... But of course, within the system itself, the actual black hole is about 300,000 light seconds, so it is going to take a fair bit of time in system to get there, but, well, you know, it won't. It'll take us a bit to get there once we actually arrive in system, but nonetheless, it is still an absolutely spectacular sight to see.
Charging.
Yeah, I can see why it's that, Coffee, and also, yeah, the interesting thing actually with this is Elite Dangerous is one of those games where it does actually base itself somewhat on like realistic. It's very much a sim in a lot of ways, a simulator in a lot of ways, and one of the ways in particular is actually with how you actually achieve faster than light travel,
Drive charging.
because every ship in the game achieves faster than light travel through something referred to as a frame shift drive, or FSD for short. And it's referred to as a frame shift drive because it actually, as the name would suggest, it shifts your point of reference in space. When you're actually flying in Super Cruise, within a system, like what I'm currently doing at the moment. And you would have actually seen it a little bit, you would have seen it, if you go back earlier in the stream when I was trying to land on a moon known as the Meteoran Hollow Moon in the Epsilon Indy system. Initially, my ship's frame of reference, according to the frameshift drive, was actually locked onto the planet, not the moon. Because what I was trying to do was I was trying to line up with the moon to actually land on it. But once I actually got close enough to the moon, the frameshift drive shifted my point of reference to the moon itself. And thus I was able to actually line myself up with the moon more efficiently and actually be able to touch down on the moon's surface. And that's simply because once I got close enough to the moon, the frameshift drive shifted my point of reference from the planet that the moon was orbiting around to the moon itself. Alright. Yep, there it is. There's the system. There's the okay. That's the system that we're jumping to. The Maya system. This system, this region of space though is particularly tricky to navigate. And once I get some distance from the star, I will pull up the filtered spectral scanner and I'll show you why. See these non-human signal sources? Those are aliens. More specifically, Thargoids. The region of space that we're actually flying through is referred to as the Pleiades Nebula. And the Pleiades Nebula is actually a hotbed of Thargoid activity. The Thargoids being sort of the antagonistic alien race of the Elite series. They've basically been around since the very beginning, since the very first game, back in the 1980s. You know, we're talking about the game that had wireframe graphics. In fact, we're talking about a game so old, some of you might actually have to look up what wireframe graphics actually are. But originally, here we are. Right. So, no, that's not the one I want. So, one of the stars in this system, in fact, there we go. Is it this one? There it is, Maya B. That's the one we want. So yeah, it's over 300,000 light seconds away.
Fuel scooping.
So we'll quickly scoop some fuel from the star. So it's going to take a little while to actually get there. To actually get to Maya B. In fact, there's actually 8 stars in this system. Well, technically there's actually 9 if you count Maya B. But okay, that should be fine. That should be enough now. So,
Fuel scoop disengaged.
yeah, as you can see, it's going to take a little while to get there, but thankfully under constant acceleration and supercruise, it might seem like it's going to take an eternity, but it really actually isn't. Because again, under constant acceleration, we can actually, while in supercruise, we can actually approach a fraction, well, we can approach over 1,000 times the speed of light. So, it's not going to take us very long to actually get there, even though it says it's going to. Now, obviously, you can't actually see the black hole, because it's black. And the space that it is set against is black. Look, it was funny when Red Dwarf did it, alright? But, I mean, it's also true. Because you can't actually see a black hole itself. We only know that they're there because of the effect that they have on space around them. I mean, even at this distance, 300,000 light seconds away, you can already see the effect that it's actually having on the space around it. And as we get closer, well, things are going to get progressively trippier as we get closer to this thing. But the reason that we actually know that these black holes are there is because of a process that's referred to as gravitational lensing. So, imagine you have an object on the far side of a black hole. Now, obviously, you can't see the object because, there's a black hole in the way. But because we also know that black holes tend to absorb, absorb light. Yeah, they inhale the light around them, which is how we can catch a picture of one using the light's absorbing. Yeah, exactly. But any light that travels around a black hole that doesn't get absorbed by the black hole gets distorted because of the immense gravitational forces that the black hole is exerting on space around it. And this is the process that's referred to as gravitational lensing. And it's through this process that we can still actually see objects on the far side of a black hole. Because technically we're not actually seeing the object itself. What we're actually seeing is the light bending around the black hole. The light that doesn't get absorbed being bent around the black hole and getting warped in such a way that we can actually perceive objects on the far side. So, while it is true that we cannot actually see the black hole directly, we can still see them because of A, the effect that they have on space around them, and B, because of the way that they warp the light around them so that we can still see things on the far side. Now, this particular black hole that we're traveling to isn't that big. I'll take a look at the actual system information when we get closer, but this thing isn't that big. It's actually quite small by the standards of a black hole. But there is one black hole which I'm not going to show in this stream because it's, several 600,000 light years away. But we can actually visit the Sagittarius A star. We can visit Sagittarius A star, the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy. That black hole is massive. Its actual radius has been estimated at around about 60 million kilometers across. No, 600, I think, no, 600,000, 600,000 or 60 million? I think it might be 60 million kilometers across. To put that into perspective for you, if the Sagittarius A star black hole was in the center of our galaxy, its event horizon would actually be outside the borders of Mercury. So, you know, that's a seriously fucking big black hole. And you can actually visit it here in Elite Dangerous, and that is absolutely on the bucket list. There's also actually another system that's quite close to Sagittarius A star, which is referred to on the galaxy map as the Great Annihilator. And the reason it's called the Great Annihilator is because it's actually a system with 2 black holes in it. Now, the Great Annihilator is actually a thing. It's not something that Frontier Developments have made up. The Great Annihilator is a real thing. It's a system that's apparently, according to astronomers, at a distance of up to something like 20,000 light years away from the solar system. And it's called the Great Annihilator because, and I think this is kind of where the Frontier Developments took a little bit of potential creative liberty here, or they just went they just kind of came up with their own assumption. But they believe that in that area of space, the Great Annihilator has either 2 black holes in close proximity to each other, or a black hole and a pulsar star, you know, like a neutron star. And so whenever anything like protons or anything like that tries to pass through, you know, between both the black hole and the neutron star, or the 2 black holes, or whatever they are, they just get annihilated and completely erased from existence. You know, they just get completely annihilated and erased from existence. Hence why astronomers refer to it as the Great Annihilator. But the black hole in that region, or possibly 2 black holes, again, they're not 100% sure. Astronomers are not 100% sure if it's 1 or 2 black holes, but whatever the case, it is the largest black hole. It's the second largest black hole that's actually been observed by humans. Yes, even larger than that black hole that was discovered. Yes, that is including the one that was discovered a couple of years ago. You know, compared to the one that was discovered a couple of years ago, the Great Annihilator is estimated to be several 100,000 times bigger than that black hole that was discovered a couple of years ago. But it is still dwarfed by Sagittarius A star in terms of its in terms of its radius, though not in terms of its mass, and that's the interesting part, because, you know, Sagittarius A is 60 million kilometers, is about 60 million kilometers across. Yet, and in fact, I think this might be where why I got my numbers confused. But Sagittarius A star is about 60 million kilometers across, and yet its mass is only 600,000 times the mass of our Sun. Which for something that big is actually quite unusual. You know, that is very unusual for a stellar body of that size. Okay, we're starting to get to about 60,000 light years, and now that we're closer, you could probably actually see even more clearly the effect that this black hole is actually having on the space around it. In fact, what I might do now is trigger the Supercruise assist, so we don't end up actually potentially going right into the thing's exclusion zone. Because, well, I've never actually gotten into the exclusion zone of a black hole before, but I really don't want to find out what happens if I do. I don't think it kills you, though. I've heard people say that that kind of thing doesn't kill you, but it can potentially, at least not instantly, but it can cook your ship, potentially. But I really don't want to actually find out what happens if I get too close to this thing. So we'll trigger the Supercruise assist, and then once we get about a few kilometers away from it, I think, a few hundred kilometers, because I have been to this black hole before, long ago, and I was able to get within 200 kilometers, I think? Like, this one is tiny. This is actually quite a small black hole. Again, I think I was able to get about 200 kilometers away from the thing. In fact, if I remember correctly, I think there's a tourist beacon next to it. I'm pretty sure there was actually a tourist beacon near this thing. Yeah, there it is. So what I might do actually is I might lock onto that tourist beacon instead. Not that much further away from it now. Like I said, this was never going to take, several days or whatever. It wasn't going to take that long to get here. But it is definitely worth it for what we're actually about to for what you're about to witness. It is definitely worth the trip. I wouldn't recommend doing this right from the very beginning, though. Right from the beginning. If anyone ever gets a chance to play this game, I wouldn't recommend coming out to Maya right from the very start. Save up some money and make sure you can actually get a good, long distance exploration ship like, say, the Diamondback Explorer. Or hell, even the Diamondback Scout would probably actually be alright for this. Because this is a very long trip. depending on where you actually start the game. So you want to bear that in mind when you're actually traveling out this far. Because it's a long way back to civilization. There was an actual, as we're approaching this, I'm quickly actually remember, there was apparently an actual physics theory going around that actually stated that black holes were apparently the remnants of previous universes that collapsed during during a big crunch event. And that these black holes are basically just the remnants of those previous universes. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. I mean, I highly doubt it, but it's definitely an interesting theory. It's certainly an interesting physics theory, if nothing else. But anyway, we're almost there. Won't be too much longer before we actually arrive at our destination. I think that impact warning is flashing up because we're approaching the black hole. But trust me, we'll be fine. If I can get this close to it without panicking, or without the ship going bonkers on, or if I can get this close to it without the ship being crushed, I should be fine. A lot of people actually think that, because, and I suspect this is probably the result of science fiction, but a lot of people think that when you get sucked into a black hole, you just get, crushed, ushered into nothingness in a very spectacular fashion. I don't think that would actually happen. Simply because of just how strong of a gravitational force it is. There it is. You see how the space got warped just then? So let's lock onto the black hole. Ooh. And it's a roundabout. There it is. Look at that. 44 kilometers away from a black hole. In fact, apparently I can get closer. I mean, look at the way that space gets warped around this thing. I mean, look at that. That is just incredible. I didn't actually think the game would let me get closer to this thing. I wonder how close I can actually get. I mean, look at it this way. If my ship gets destroyed, it's not going to cost me much. It's only going to cost about 500,000 credits to insure this thing. So if it gets destroyed, I really don't care. Because I could just rebuy the ship and then it will spawn. I'll spawn back at the last station I visited. Oh. Ah, okay. So I can get about 24 kilometers away from this thing before it basically stops me dead in my tracks. Look at that, though. We're 24 kilometers away from this thing. What a view. Isn't that just spectacular? Let's actually see. How do I... Where's the... There it is, system map. I want to see actually just how big this thing is. I mean, if we could get 24 kilometers away from it, it's probably not that big. No, it's only 2 times... It's only actually 2 times the mass of the sun, so it's not that big. Or, well, okay, 2 times the mass of the sun is still pretty heavy, but, you know, compared to, say, the Sagittarius A star, that's still really not that big. And I mean, it must be a small black hole if we could get up to 24 kilometers away from that fucking thing. I mean, look at that. Look at how space is warping around this thing. That is just amazing. This and Mitterrand Hollow are probably 2 of the most spectacular sights I think I've seen in this game so far. I still have yet to see Sagittarius A, though. And that's definitely going to be something I'm going to strive for at some point. I don't know when. That probably will be quite some time away, but it is definitely something I am going to do. But I think that'll be it for today, because I wasn't planning on doing this for a long time anyway, so I think I'm going to call the stream quits here. So, for those who did tune in, thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it entertaining and potentially informative or interesting. And stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you next time. Catch you later.